Hello, buongiorno, my name is Annabelle from Annabelle Men's Antics, and today we are discussing AI. Specifically AI in costuming and pattern drafting, because I have seen quite a lot of AI patterns come up recently, and in the past I have experimented with using some myself with mixed results. But a new one that seems to be sweeping the history-bounding world at least is... Okay, the image is actually so bad that I can't actually read the name of it, so I will put a link here. It is this one. Now, I first came across this when it was recommended in a history-bounding Facebook group that I was a part of. It then also got recommended in a cosplay Facebook group that I'm a part of, and then Sarah Spaceman used it in her video where she was making her Suzukiyo strawberry dress thing very cute, and it looked very nice. And so I decided that I just had to try it myself, because the way that this works is you put in all of your measurements and it comes out with a custom corset pattern in your size. Now, as someone who makes their own digital PDF printable patterns, I thought this was quite interesting because I do all of my drafting measurements by hand and then just digitize them afterwards, whereas this is essentially a machine. We have seen similar websites before. Things like Pattern Labs came up a few years ago, particularly during COVID, where people were custom making their own outfit designs, but honestly it kind of got to a point and then it just stopped, and certainly nothing that I have seen has been specifically for corsets, so I am interested to give this one a go. But first assessment on printing it out is that when I hit download, it gave me 3 different documents with no instruction as to which document I am supposed to print, so I just picked a random one. And honestly, I'm not impressed. Just look at how messy this front sheet is. Like, okay, fine, it has my name, but it's overlapping the picture. It has this measuring square which doesn't actually line up with any of the other squares. It has construction notes on a Google document, which I'm guessing on the PDF you can click and it will take you somewhere, but everything's overlapped and it just looks really, really messy. Once we get onto the other bits, you see that there are also very large portions of just blank space, which as someone who does PDF patterns, this is something I try to avoid because it is such a waste of paper. I mean, literally, look at this sheet. This is the only bit I need, this tiny corner here. It doesn't seem particularly efficient, but before I judge it too harshly, I'm just gonna say it's not the nicest thing to look at, and let's stick it together and see if this actually comes out nice. If you're wondering why the light is weird while I am working on my AI corset, it is because, ironically enough, while I am filming the AI corset, I am currently experiencing a power cut, which means I have no gas. Well, the gas leak was something different, but I have no gas, I have no hot water, I have no electricity, so everything is running off of batteries that we normally use and save for Ben's tools. Kindly left me a light and some other stuff because outside is the largest and most horrendous thunderstorm I nearly have ever seen. Therefore my room is really dark, but I actually want to get on with projects, so this is what we're doing. Also, my sewing machine will not run off these batteries, so we are doing everything but stitching them. So yes, that is why we have weird lighting. God. So I seem to be missing half of my corset, and like the edges are all cut off. That matches. That's about the only thing that matches. It also says row 0, column 0, but then has pieces above it. So, okay, I actually did print out another corset, so I'm just going to check and make sure that like we haven't gotten stuff muddled up. I don't think I have, but now I am doubting myself. So these are the 2 corsets I printed out. This one was supposed to be a surprise for later in the video, but sod it, that's gonna be a thing now. And on this one, like, did we really need a whole 2 pages for this tiny thing and this tiny thing? Seriously? And then for this I have like 6 pages with literally nothing on it but squares. It's ridiculous. My god, no, it's just such a waste. I'm guessing that's supposed to be up there, but then it's weird because like these 2 clearly go next to each other, and as you can see that does not align. It like overlaps, which I can figure out, but it's just really damn annoying. I'm gonna rearrange these and see how we go. So we have figured it out. I just had it up the wrong way around. Fair enough, I didn't read the instructions, but at the same time, these pieces that I was saying, do we really need them? We really don't, because this is what is on here. Like, I literally, those 2 are insignificant because they've already printed it out on here. Even down the bottom here, not being funny, we've got maybe ½ centimeter that's gone onto this page. It's just a bit silly. And with this as well, it's all gonna overlap in such a way that is really, really awkward. This is something that I really try and avoid when doing my own PDF patterns. Basically, I have a blank square around the edge so that you have the space to overlap without the lines overflowing, so that you don't get pieces that just don't fit together. And yeah, I'm guessing that that's what these squares are supposed to be, is that you should line up the squares. But even then, it just seems so pointless to have added an extra 2 pages, which I had to go get this printed at a print shop because I don't own a printer at the moment. So every extra page, those 2 and the extra 6 plus the 2 sheet pages that I had to pay to get printed. Not happy. Okay, let's stick these together and see how we go. So again, the waste of paper is just getting me. This is a very small piece that could have easily been fitted onto these two pieces of paper had that just been moved over slightly. You could have turned that on its side, easily put it there. You could have easily fitted it on one A4 sheet. Like sometimes, you know, you just can't fit little pieces on. It does happen, but this, it just seems like such a waste. Also, the other thing I've noticed is that a lot of the writing seems to like overlap, making it very hard to read, which is complaints I have had on my PDF patterns before, which is why I try and not do this. Also, I've checked through all of the leftover pages for both corset patterns. This page does not exist, and this is definitely not the edge of the corset, because if we look at the other corset pattern, you can see there's supposed to be like a whole row of things there. So yeah, that's a bit annoying. This is one of those things where if the corset fits, I'm sure it's worth the hassle, but right this second it feels like this AI machine that this guy has created, which, you know, good on him for creating it, because I'm sure that is blooming complicated and it's not something I can do, but it just feels like the AI machine doesn't understand creating printed patterns. It understands creating patterns using a mathematical equation to make them the right size, but it doesn't understand arranging them on a piece of paper, and it doesn't understand making sure you have all those pieces of paper, and that's just really, really annoying. So what I'm gonna do is get my laptop out with the little battery I have left and see if I can just trace using the other pieces of paper I have, because the square size on there will tell me whether or not I've got it on the right size. My other thing is that I have been told several times that these courses don't come with seam allowance, but looking at them, they look like they do have seam allowance. If you see what I mean, they have like this inner line and they have this outer line, and it looks like this is where you should stitch and this is your seam allowance, but apparently that isn't correct. I don't know. Having said that, if it fits, I suppose it will be worth it. So these are the 3 documents that it gave me. Again, no instructions as to which one I'm actually supposed to print, so I just picked a random one because they all look like the same pattern, and this top one actually does have the missing page, so we are going to trace that. A little bit annoying. With the pattern pieces at last taped together and all cut out, I got some old cotton fabric and ironed it flat before pinning the pieces on and cutting them out, making sure to include the centimetre of seam allowance that I like. And while putting these corsets together, let's have a chat about the creator of this amazing AI. These corsets come from the Corset Pattern Maker website, which is run by a software developer named Zach Kessin, who started it back in 2022. According to the information page on his website, he learned to sew while at the SCA University 30 years ago and came up with the idea of the Corset Pattern Maker after reading a tailoring book and a computer science book in the same day. God, I would love to see his bookshelves. I feel like we would get along quite well. He then saw a lot of people complaining on Reddit that commercial patterns just never fit right, and fair play, that is a very common complaint and why I mostly draft my own patterns when making things for myself. But rather than just drafting his own, he created an entire computer program which allows you to input your measurements and it will draft you a custom pattern, which of course is what we're experimenting with today. Okay, so I actually pinned and was going to sew the last stitching of the AI corset literally 3 days ago, but we've had some power cuts. Now, I have no lights in the house still, but ta-da! My sewing machine is back on. Because Ben is a carpenter, he has been charging the batteries at work for his work tools, bringing them home, and pretty much everything from laptops to phones to lamps can run off of that. My sewing machine though just draws too much power. It doesn't, meaning when the power cuts out, I can't stitch on my machine, and it really damn well annoys me. However, even if we don't have a room light, we have the little light on the sewing machine, and that means I can get going, which is exactly what I plan to do. And with the AI corset done, all that is left is to try it on. Now, I am in the process of making several corsets at the moment, and unfortunately that means I am running a bit low on grommets. So rather than install grommets on this corset, which honestly I wasn't 100% sure was going to work, I decided to just stitch myself in, and then we can add grommets later if I'm happy with it. And that is the same reason why I haven't put boning in this corset, because again, I'm running low on it. This is a test. I want to make sure it fits, and if it does, we'll make it in better material with proper supplies. This corset, it's okay. To be honest, it's actually quite comfy, and I think even with boning in, it would be a relatively comfy corset. I can actually get both sides to touch, but just because I've sewn myself in with what is quite slippery thread, it just doesn't want to stay that tight, so it's okay. I mean, it's a bit short if I'm honest. I double and triple checked my waist measurement, and it is just, it's a good centimetre above my actual natural waist, so I would certainly want to lengthen it if I actually made this for real, which is one of the reasons I didn't want to waist boning on it. The straps as well are very loose on my shoulders. I kind of feel like they, well look, they'll easily slip down. They're not great. Also, because there is no kind of curvature here, I don't know how historically accurate that is, because this period of time is not exactly my specialty, but it just kind of feels like it's squishing my chest a little bit too much. Maybe that could be relieved by loosening off the string, but yeah. The back, however, I like. It's neat, it's comfy. Again, it's too short, but such is one of those things. However, it was not just my corset that we were going to experiment with. You see, as I mentioned earlier, I have actually been making a second corset this whole time, and that corset is for Ben, so let's go check out what he thought of his before I conclude what I think of mine. Okay, so we have just sewn Ben into the corset, and Ben, what are your thoughts?
Well, my first thought is the straps are just in the wrong place. They need to be like way further over, like nearly an inch and a half over, so they actually go over my shoulder, because right now they're like a slip-on, slip-off dress. The other downside, of course, is that my waist is there, not there. It stops on my last rib. So you'll tighten me up and then my form will do that.
From the back, it actually doesn't look too bad.
No, the back's actually quite comfortable. But like I said, the straps are just in the wrong place.
Okay, now bearing in mind that I haven't put any boning in this yet, do you think it would be supportive if boning were in it?
Yeah. Again, it just needs to have the proper adjustment, like it needs to be longer, the straps need to be moved over, and then that way when we put the boning in, the structure will actually be correct. Because right now it's a bit strange. But I prefer this design over the last design, especially because the point where it needs to be most flexible is on my back, not my chest.
Because this was custom made to your measurements, in theory this should come closed. So, let's see if we can tighten it up a little bit. Final opinion, Ben.
Not that tight.
Can we just appreciate that this is only just covering his nipples as well? Like, they're literally, his nipple is right here, so any further down and it might be indecent. Oh, what a terrible
slap
thing.
you. Now get me out of this thing. Join us next time for how Annabelle humiliates Ben.
So yes, Ben's corset, not amazing either. Overall, would I recommend this? Probably not. I mean, look, if you're in a pinch and you need a corset, I would say definitely make a mock-up. Probably gonna want to extend it a little bit more than what it actually is, but it isn't the worst. Like, I've definitely seen worse corsets. However, as an out-of-the-box pattern, I wouldn't recommend it personally, and I'm not probably going to use it again. However, during the course of this corset making, I actually got recommended another AI software where you put in a lot more measurements, and apparently the results people have found are a lot more reliable. I will pop that website on screen now and link it in the description down below, and please let me know in the comments if you guys would like to see me try making that AI corset as well. Otherwise, what do you guys think of the results? Do you think the computer knows what it's doing when it comes to corset making? Because certainly when it comes to pattern making, I'm not personally convinced, but when it comes to actually pattern making the corset rather than just arranging the pieces on a piece of paper, I mean, it has some understanding clearly, but it's also not amazing. However, I will leave it up to you guys to judge whether or not you think the AI has done a good job. And with that, I will say farewell. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to drop us a like and subscribe to see more cosplay sewing and vintage sewing machine content. I post every single Wednesday, and until next time, have a beautiful day. Bye! And a massive thank you to my Patreons Ganny Meadows and Kelly Nelson for making these videos possible. If you would like to support me as well, the link to my Patreon and Ko-Fi is in the description box below. And remember guys, make your next adventure